Good afternoon. Welcome to the Big Show. The Big Show is brought to you every day here at Post-Gazette. We are brought to you by FanDuel Casino. We'll talk a little bit about what you can do with your FanDuel app a little bit later in the show. The FanDuel Casino, we brought to you by them every day. We thank them for sponsoring us, and we thank them for being a part of our team. There's a lot to get to today. Obviously, in some ways, we need to talk about a number of different issues. I think one of the biggest ones, though, and, I hate to do this because the bottom line is we are, sometimes it feels like we talk about this issue quite a lot. But I think that when you are honest, there are a lot of people who their entire worldview is wrapped up in Mike Tomlin. Either they are, Mike Tomlin is, a guy who isn't a good coach and needs to be fired and all this other stuff, or Mike Tomlin is the greatest coach that's ever walked the planet. There's no in between when it comes to Mike Tomlin. And it's sad in my mind because I feel like when you think about it that way, he, to me, is somebody that should be evaluated the same way we evaluate all coaches. And one of the things that always cracks me up is there are some people who really believe that because he won a Super Bowl eons ago, that somehow, some way, that means he deserves some sort of lifetime pass. There was a point where people were booing Mike Tomlin, if you remember. They were booing him. And they were basically booing Renegade. Do you remember that? And there was all kinds of discussions about one of these ways, the number of ways that Mike Tomlin needs to do better and get better and everything else. And my feelings are this. They really are. Every single year, Mike Tomlin wins games. He wins games when their back's against the wall. He finds ways for them to win games down the stretch, games that probably some people think they shouldn't even win. He does this every single year. And as a result, there's every single year been a stretch of games where people have said basically, hey, you know what? Told you so. Tony Dungy. Oh, I wonder if there are people that still want to fire Mike Tomlin, if they won the other day against Detroit. The Ryan Clarks of the world. There's a lot of people in national media. You see what Steeler fans, they don't understand how good they have it and all this other stuff. Listen, I got something for the national media. Okay? I do. I got something for the national media. Here it is. We understand in this town exactly what we have in Mike Tomlin. I think he's a good coach. He's a guy that's been able to win, how many years in a row he's been able to win and all that good stuff. 18 years? He's never had a losing season, yada, 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 yada. We get that. But here's the reality. It's been 8 years since he's won a playoff game. So, nothing we've seen over the last 3 weeks or whatever is different than what we've seen just about every season of the last 10 years. He's found a way to win. He's found a way to win games. He's, pushed his team to be able to win in improbable ways against improbable, odds or whatever you want to say. But the reality is people in this town want a playoff win or 2 or 3. And that's where the large disconnect between the national media and a number of the what I would call Mike Tomlin fanboys and everybody else. There's a couple things that I think are at play here. Number one, I think this is what year? What year is this with Mike Tomlin? Year 14 or 15 or whatever it is. Okay, I think it's 15. Let's see, it's 2025. So 10. So no, it's actually like 19. Okay, 19 seasons. He has been the coach here, and in 15 of those 19 seasons, he's not won a playoff game. You understand that? 15 of 19 seasons. I think this should be season 19, right? Or well, let's do the math. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, 19. This is season 19. So in 14 of 18 seasons, he has not won a playoff game. He won 5 of his first 6 playoff games. He was 5-1 in the playoffs. His first 6 playoff games. Since then, regardless of what you want to say, since then, he's 3-10. That's what we're looking at. That's the number we're looking at. We're not looking at, oh, well, he's never had a losing season. Yay! Okay, good. He's never had a losing season. Well, what does that mean? Someone said this the other day, and I don't know if I completely agree with this, but it's true. After the Super Bowl, the Super 70s Steelers, right? 79 till now. I mean, the Pirates haven't even won a playoff series over those 40. What is it? 40 since 79 to now. It's 35 years. 45 years. In 45 years, the Steelers have only won 2 Super Bowls. They've been to 2 others, though. And they've won playoff games in between. And they've been to the AFC Championship game a number of times. But the bottom line here is, and this is what I think people don't want to, a lot of these people, you see, you wanted to fire him. Now what? Well, here's what I'll tell you. Now what is, go win a playoff game. Go win a playoff game. I think that's what people in Pittsburgh are saying. And I think that people in Pittsburgh were getting a nasty reputation from these national guys who all want to sit here and tell you, oh, well, you guys just don't appreciate what it is that you have in Mike Tomlin. And it's like, I don't think that's it at all. I think we appreciate it just fine. I think the biggest problem is we're tired of being lectured that it should be good enough that, hey, it's just good enough that he wins a lot of games every year. Again, if you take his first 4 years out of the equation and just go with his last 15 years, he's basically been Marty Schottenheimer. And Marty Schottenheimer was fired 3 times I think he was fired. Period. So, this thing where we're basically saying, well, Mike Tomlin has shut everyone up. No, he hasn't. Listen, I hope he shuts everybody up. I hope that he, goes out and they win a playoff game and they do a really good, run in the playoffs and all that other stuff. I hope all of that is the case. But I will tell you this. If it doesn't happen this year, I don't care that they had another winning season. I just don't. Because I feel like, we sit here and we talk about a bar that's extremely low. And it's extremely low because we allow it to be low. That's the problem. And I think that's the issue I have with the entire discussion about Mike Tomlin. There are some people who want to say, oh, well, you should just be happy because you could be the Jets. You know what? If the standard is the Jets, then you're right. If the standard is the Browns, then you're right. People here should be happy. But I was under the impression that the standard was different for the Steelers. I was under the impression that the standard for the Steelers was winning championships, or at least competing for championships. That's what I was basically told, or that's what I thought I was told. So when fans are basically telling you that, hey, you know what, they want to see more than, what they've gotten, I don't think they're out of line. I just don't. I think they're probably not out of line because it's just really important now to note that you have the ability. You have the ability to, make it right from the standpoint of, okay, go win a playoff game. Not hard. Not hard at all. Just go win a playoff game and see what happens. And if you win a playoff game, you know what? I think most people will shut up. You go and you beat somebody at home. I think everybody would tell you that would be a welcome change from what it was and what it's been. But all of these people that are puffing their chests out and saying, oh, well, let's go ahead and you can, apologize to Mike Tomlin now and all this stuff. For what? I mean, what are we talking about here? It's lunacy to me that this is even a discussion at this point. Because at this point, nothing has been accomplished that hadn't been accomplished a bunch of times in the last few years. It's been really hard, very hard to figure that. Like, why is it so hard to understand that? And again, I get a kick out of people that want to puff their chest out and want to sit here and tell me, oh, well, you're just a hater or whatever. You know what I'm saying? No, it's not that at all. It is basically that I like to take a look at the actual, facts. And the facts to me here are basically that we have seen nothing at all this year that we haven't seen in other years. Honestly, we nothing. We've seen nothing at all from this year that we haven't seen in other years. And I think, you look at it like that, there needs to be, a little bit of what I would call legitimate sort of accountability for the fact that what happens in the playoffs is all that really matters here. Is that fair? Probably not on some levels. But hey, you get paid a lot of money, right? You get paid a lot of money to win playoff games. And so, this thing where we're puffing our chests out and telling you, you're wrong, be careful. Be very, very careful. Because to me, when you look at it that way, I mean, it's one of those things where the Steelers haven't accomplished anything yet. Nothing. They've accomplished nothing yet. Nothing that they haven't done in the last 5, 6, 8 years. The question is, can they turn it into a playoff run? And I think that's what people want. It is just one of those things where it's a conversation that a lot of people don't like to have. because you have to be able to have a little bit of nuance to it or whatever. But I'm sorry. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, oh, yeah, he showed us, because really he hadn't done anything. And that's really kind of, a big part of it. Now, here's another thing I would tell you. One thing that's going to be very interesting to me, okay, is what the Steelers do this weekend if the Ravens lose to the Packers. Someone asked Mike Tomlin about that. And there's two ways to look at it. Number one, do you really want to put guys out there if the games are meaningless? That's the biggest thing. If the games are meaningless, which if the Ravens lose to the Packers, then the game against the Browns is meaningless. I mean, I would hope that would mean, even if TJ Watt comes back and practices this week, I would hope that would mean that basically, that they would keep TJ Watt and hold him out. There's no reason to play him. Make sure he's 110% healthy before you put him back out there if you don't need him. Now, of course, the Ravens win, and, now all of a sudden Sunday's game matters. All of this goes out the window, but I have a sneaking suspicion that the Ravens are going to lose. They look to me like a team that has packed it in. I think the Steelers game kind of just took all the energy they had out of them. And I think that they're a team that's ready to just go on vacation. I think John Harbaugh is going to get fired, all of that good stuff. So if they lose to the Packers, and I know that Jordan Love is questionable or whatever, if he doesn't play, maybe I feel a little differently about the game. But regardless, if the Steelers are playing this week and it's meaningless, I would play Mason Rudolph. I would probably not play TJ Watt. I might hold even DK Metcalf out. I mean, there'd be like 5 or 6 guys I might hold out to make sure they're healthy for the playoffs. And, there's some people that go, so, well, the Steelers have a lot of momentum now. Why would you do that? They're playing really well. But the flip side of it is, do you want guys to be healthy, the next 2 weeks? Or do you want them healthy in the playoffs? I mean, I'd even give Cam Heyward at least 1 week off. Maybe I'd have Cam Heyward play this week, but I'd give him next week off. I'd give TJ Watt both weeks off. I might think about playing Aaron Rodgers like a quarter this week and then, give him next week off. I mean, I think you have the luxury, and that's why there's 3 things that I would tell you. 3 things, okay, that I would tell you probably give me the thought that this is going to be the year they're finally going to break that the streak of no playoff wins. I think this might be the year they are able to get through it, and I'll tell you why. Number one, they're going to be at home as opposed to being on the road. Now, I know they lost a couple of home games. They lost to the Browns at home. They lost to, Blake Bortles in Jacksonville at home. But I like their chances a little bit more at home than I do on the road, obviously. Number 2, I think this will be the first time that they'll go into the playoffs with the luxury of really being healthy and rested. That's an important thing, too. They won't have guys hurt, they'll have pretty much their entire team intact. They'll be healthy. They'll be rested because Mike Tomlin can make sure that he puts guys out there that he thinks, are if they need a rest or if they need time off, because they're just beat up a little bit or whatever. I mean, he has the ability to use whoever he wants to use these last 2 weeks if the Ravens lose on Saturday. So, to me, I just would tell you it's so important for the Steelers going into the playoffs they're going to be healthy and rested. They're not going to be in a place where they're, had to scramble to win their final game of the year, and they lost a couple of guys to injury. They need to, play their backup quarterback, or they need to play some other guys or whatever. I think the fact that they'll have the ability to be healthy is going to be huge. Absolutely huge. Because to me, they haven't had always that luxury in these last, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. It's not a reason, it's not an excuse for them to lose games, but it is a reason why they have lost some games. So now the next thing, there's three things I said. First one, they're at home. Second one, they have the ability to be healthy, healthy and rested going into the playoffs. The third thing is Aaron Rodgers. And what I mean by that is he gives them the best quarterback play they've had in a long, long time. Probably the best quarterback play they had going into a season that I can remember. And that gives them really a great opportunity. So those three things give me reason to believe that, yeah, they could win a playoff game because they're built to go win a playoff game. They could win a playoff game because they're built to go win one. That's just really an important note. And I would tell you, I think that's something to remember, something to think about, something to really, really take a look at. When you talk about winning in the playoffs, a lot of times it's just, who's the healthiest. Sometimes it's basically who gets a little bit lucky. Sometimes it's more than that, but I would tell you it's always going to be important really to understand that you basically have a chance this year to be healthy, number one. And number two, you have a chance to basically go out and do everything you can possibly do in order to figure out you have a chance to put your team in a position where they're going to be healthy, wealthy, wise, and everything else. That's what I'm going to tell you. So I like their chances going into the playoffs. Now, the third thing is Mike Tomlin today talked a little bit about DK Metcalf. I was just going to say this, okay? It's really kind of ridiculous that this is even a discussion. Okay? DK Metcalf did what you are not allowed to do. You cannot go into the stands and engage with fans in a way that's violent like that. You just can't. And he did. He did. That to me is a problem. It's one of those situations where I really believe that you have to, in so many ways, condemn what he did, period. The idea, he shouldn't have done what, this is what Mike Tomlin said, he shouldn't have done what he did, but I support my guy. That's not the right answer. And the reason it's not the right answer is because it sends a wrong message. To me, the message should be very simple, and that is, this is not tolerated here. You cannot do this here. We will not accept this here. And I know the NFL, one of the reasons why they decided that they were going to suspend him was because they're worried about, we can't have players going, ape what inside, in the stands and fighting fans and all the other nonsense. We can't have it happen. So I just feel like, that's what the NFL is looking at. Their brand, the shield, whatever you want to say. That's what they're looking at. Protecting that. Because the worst thing you can become if you're the NFL, quite frankly, is the NBA. And as you know, the NBA right now has an image problem. And the image problem is this. The image problem is you got a bunch of spoiled brat babies in that league who can't take being heckled a little bit or whatever's going on, and they continually have these guys having these confrontations with fans. It's a horrible look for the league. Fans pay their money. Does that mean that they can be abusive and say all kinds of crazy stuff? No, but you have to be the bigger person here. And the NFL's message is we don't want our players going into the stands to fight because, that's a slippery slope. It starts off with you jump up there and try and grab them or whatever DK Metcalf does. The next thing you know, you got a brawl like you had with Ron Artest and the Pacers back then. And nobody wants that. So I wish Mike Tomlin would have been a little stronger and just said, listen, he said, look, I don't condone what he did, but I support him, yada, yada, yada. I'm not going to get into the specifics. And you know what I'm saying? Says, I certainly don't condone the behavior, but I support him. I really don't have a lot to add. Okay, good. I don't know. It just basically says, really to me, you cannot really, in my mind, go into the stands. And the NFL knows it, and they don't want their league to become the NBA. That's really what it comes down to. They don't want their players to become synonymous with whiny babies that get into fights with fans. And again, if it was as offensive as, some of the people have tried to say, this guy said, a couple of really offensive things. If it's that offensive, then you have to just point to the usher and say, hey, or point to the security guard right there, right at the ball, that's inside the stadium and say, hey, listen, go up there. This is a guy he needs to be removed, and walk away and go worry about playing football and winning a football game. That's what I'll tell you. So I think it's really important to note you have to walk away if you're them. It's just really, in my mind, one of the most important things you can do as a league is make sure that your fans are safe and that people are safe, and make sure that you have just basically you have the ability to do whatever it is that, try to, make sure that everyone has a good experience and that you don't have to have liability and that your players aren't in a situation where it can be bad and everything else. That's what I would tell you. So where we're at now is just really going to be the next step with that is to see what the appeals process brings. But it feels to me like this might be a good time in many, many ways. This might be, a good time for Mike Tomlin to be a little bit assertive and make sure everybody understands, hey, this is, not acceptable for the Steelers. But he didn't quite go there, right? And that's what I would tell you. He didn't quite go there. So, anyway, next step to me for the Steelers, get through Saturday and see where you stand. Because I think, you're going to be really happy. And, the Ravens are going to lose, and they're going to lose to the Packers, so your game doesn't matter, which gives you all kinds of opportunities to give guys rest and get guys out of the lineup. Anyway, we're going to be off for quite some time until Sunday after the game. It's happy holidays, Merry Christmas, all that great stuff. Remember to make sure that you download the FanDuel app. Go to FanDuel.com and download the app and make sure that you're able to go and bet right from your phone, right from your computer. They've got the best odds and they've got the best payoffs. So go to FanDuel, the number one online casino that's out there. Until such time, actually, let me say this. I'm going to say one more thing. The holidays are really rough for people. They're really rough for people, especially people that are suffering from depression and other sorts of mental illnesses. And as many of you know that have followed my career for many years, I have struggled with mental health and depression issues for my entire adult life. Okay? I've had, 6, 7 hospitalizations for depression. I've had some suicide attempts, the whole 9 yards. By the grace of God, knock on wood, I've done a lot better in recent years because I've been able to manage my depression. But you know what? This time of year is really hard. Feelings of isolation, loneliness, feelings of depression when you see, or at least you perceive, that everybody else is having a great time and everyone is enjoying themselves, and you're, inside yourself feeling lonely and depressed and isolated and can't figure out why. And the reason I bring this up is because, especially men don't like to talk about these kinds of things because we're all tough guys, right? It's not weakness to reach out and say, hey, I'm struggling. I need some help. I need to talk to somebody. I need some help. I'm really struggling. I know everybody's happy and this is the time we're supposed to be happy, but right now I'm just not doing very well and I can't put my finger on why. It's okay to reach out for help. It really is. It's okay to say these aren't easy times. It's okay. And that's what I would tell you. So to me, I think, before I sign off, understand that people around you, the loved ones that you are around, there's some that probably are struggling and, they're not going to talk to you or not going to reach out, but just check in on them. Make sure they're okay. Make sure the people around you are okay so that we can all get through a happy holiday. And if you're someone who is struggling with your depression and you're struggling with all of the things that go on, that you can't control and you don't know what's going on and what's right and what's wrong and what's wrong with you, don't be afraid to reach out to somebody for help. Don't be afraid to reach out and say, listen, I'm not doing well right now. I just am not. Believe me when I tell you, there are people out there that are willing to help you. So, the next 10 days or whatever it is between now and then the other side of the holiday, they're rough. It's rough for a lot of people who struggle with depression. Holidays are tough. But I'm just telling you, reach out to those around you that you love to make sure they're all doing well, right? And reach out. If you're somebody that's struggling and needs help, reach out and do that as well. That's really what I've got for you. And of course, even if you have to, just reach out to me, pzeise@postgazette.com, if you're looking for somebody to give you some guidance if you don't know what you're going through. Because again, I've struggled with it my entire adult life, and I know how difficult it can be. Until then, have a very happy holiday, right? And let's make sure we get through it happy, safe, and I'll talk to you all. Let's see. Merry Christmas. I will talk to you all on Sunday after the game.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.